Good morning, Helene. You are here for the Google Meets. Is that what you're wanting to be looking for this morning? Jennifer, Zoom is not the same as the Google Suite Meetup. It is another type of online video conferencing software that you could be using. Similar with some different features though. Hi, Janet.
Kaylee, we were worried no one was going to come to our session.
I know, I think that was unfounded. Look at all those participants. Oh, Helene can't hear.
I saw a note in the chat, someone having difficulty hearing. Down next to the microphone icon, you'll see a little up arrow, and that's where you can go to your audio settings and make sure you have the right speaker enabled and have the volume turned up.
Okay, so at the bottom of the screen.
What is it, Helene? What kind of device are you on?
Well, she can't hear, so I'm trying to type to her.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I wonder what,
okay.
Because
I spoke to her too.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Just one quick question. This is for Google Meets, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Do you want us to turn the mic off, and then if we want to say something, then we join in, or?
That would be great. Yes.
Yeah.
And do you need our camera?
No.
We like to see you.
Okay, I'll leave my camera. I'll turn my mic off.
How do you turn the camera on?
Is it okay to do this on an iPhone?
Can you touch
Yes.
it?
Of course.
Oh, here I am.
Okay, I think we'll make sure everybody's good to go here. This is the Google Meet presentation, and I'm just going to share my screen. And Kaylee, you can let me know that we're good to go there.
Yep. Yep, I can see your screen.
Excellent. So we, Kaylee Evans and I are tackling this presentation. And by no means do we feel that we're the experts, but we would like to try and facilitate a little bit of learning and conversation. I guess I want to first say, like the rest of you, we're trying to figure this out at home. So I have 2 kids and a husband, so there may be some parental things going on. Kaylee has 2 kids of her own as well. So we will endeavor to get this started here. So within a Zoom session, you can participate. If you hover over the top of your screen, you can see the annotate button. If you click on that, you'll be able to indicate on this slide who is joining us and where you're joining or what school you're at.
And if we're on a phone, if we don't hover, how do we do that?
You can just tell us who you are and where you're from if you're not able to put it on the slide. While we're just getting started here, we will ask for everyone to turn their mic off. It just helps cut back on the background noise, and then when you want, if you want to ask a question, you'll be able to just unmute your mic and ask us a question, or you should see a chat feature that you're able to type in a question, and we will try and answer your questions as soon as we can.
Ooh, we have a lot of people here, Emily.
I know.
I was going to start by saying good morning to everybody, but it's just flying in. Oh, hi, Sean Jackson. How are you doing? Wow. Maybe we won't have anybody tomorrow, Emily. They're all here.
They're all coming in. We better make this good.
Yeah. No pressure.
Helene, are you able to hear us now?
I think she's okay now. Yeah.
Okay.
So Linda had a question. She's on the computer. How do I access the options to type? So Linda, if you just go up to the top of your screen, it should say View Options. And then there's a drop-down menu, and you hit Annotate. Right in there.
I think I got it working.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, we will continue on here. Oh, I need to clear the annotations.
Did you do it?
No.
Christmas. Password.
So Janet, sorry if the audio is not clear at times. Sometimes if there's background noise, it'll be a little fuzzy. That's why we did ask if everyone could mute their mics. But we'll do our best. If you have a question, just type it in the chat as well.
Stop or I won't do it.
It looks like we're having some trouble with the annotations, Emily. So I'm just
Yeah, I'm gonna stop.
Stop that and keep on going.
Yeah, I wasn't able to control my screen anymore, so I'm just gonna try. I don't know if I'm not sure, but I am not able to control my screen.
Oh. So I would like to point in here that it's a good thing that we are doing the Google Meets and not the Zoom workshop. Rod, are you still there?
I'll text them.
Yep, I'm here. What's up?
I'm not able to control my screen at the moment.
If you hover near the top of the screen, it's delayed. Is it showing your menu, Emily?
Yes.
Sometimes that happens. If you just maybe, you're trying to get access to what tool at the top there?
I'm just trying to continue on the slide presentation.
Okay, near the bottom of the screen, you can hover there and get the slide controls, and you can tab forward or use the pointer to highlight a part of the slide. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Yep, there we go. Awesome. Okay, we would like to acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. We have some annotations there. Your host today, Kaylee Evans, is the principal at London Road School. I'm Emily Dixon, and I'm the principal at Bezanquet Central out in Thedford. Kaylee, do you want to start?
Sure, sorry. There's someone in the background whose child is singing lovely. If you could mute, that would be wonderful.
I don't know. That's
Michelle,
fine.
is that you?
I put my headphones on so that you guys wouldn't be able to hear anything. Does that help?
No, so we can still hear the background noise. So if you go down to the screen and mute, there, perfect. Okay. So before we start with the meat and potatoes of Google Meet, we just wanted to go over the 6 remote learning guidelines. Number 1, learning. That was a new word for me, and it means that it's not happening at the same time. So the students could be working at a different time than you are, so perhaps it's not the 9 o'clock math lesson, but they're doing it at 11 when their schedule allows. The pace is really important with remote learning. It could take 2 to 3 times longer to do a task remotely than it would in class. You have to prioritize what you are teaching at that point. You need to be available. So my own staff created office hours that we shared with the school community as to what time they would be available every day and how to communicate with them, whether it be an email address or a telephone number. The learning has to be intentional, okay? And it should be familiar. So this is not the time to introduce brand new things, but just make it familiar. So the things that you've already been doing in class are things that are going to continue. Okay. Oh, look at that. We're just gonna look at those slides, so maybe you can just flow through them, Emily. Perfect. Okay. So there are several sessions going on. You know that you are at these Google Meet sessions. I just want to give a little plug for everybody else. However, there are new Seesaw sessions happening, and they are 3-part sessions. So if you attend, for example, the new to Seesaw Part A today, which obviously you're not because you're here with us, but then you would want to attend the new to Seesaw Part B and the new to Seesaw Part C as they build upon each other. So there's Seesaw, and then there's the Google Suite support as well. We, as a program team, know that there are lots of different platforms that you might be using to communicate with your students. I know my own teachers use Remind, or my son's teacher uses ClassTag. However, we can't support all of those, so we decided to focus our support on the Seesaw and on the Google Suites, okay? Again, the Google Suite would build upon each other as well. Okay, but here we go with Google Meets.
Okay, so within the G Suites, we as a staff use Google quite a bit. If your students or you haven't gotten into Google, you'll have to recommend that they log on to their LKDSB.com account and select the Google Meet in the waffle, the icon in the waffle. Essentially, there are 3 ways to start a meeting. So I'm going to start the easiest all the way up to maybe a more difficult or advanced way. One is just before the meeting. Once you the icon, you can add whoever the participants are that you're wanting to add. So if it's your class or a couple students, this is a great way if you are just having a one-time meeting. I know some teachers are kind of scheduling smaller groups, and so this might be a way that you invite them to the meeting. Another way, and I'm going to be going through these in a bit more detail. Another way is to get a link from the startup screen to copy and paste. You'll need to access this link as well in the sent email. So if you use the link, you just need good tip is you need to go into the meeting through the same link that you send to your students. The last is by creating a Google group, and then you create an event in Google Calendar that will send an invitation out to all the people in your Google group. And I recommend doing this if you will be having ongoing meetings with this same group. So once you get into Google Meet, you will, at the startup, you'll see this slide here. You want to join or start the meeting. And when you click on that slide, you are able to title that slide. But the most important part at this slide is enabling your microphone and video access. This is essential to start your meeting. Then the next couple of slides is where you would add the people. So as I indicated, if you're doing a one-time meeting, you can just type in, after you click add people, you can type in the email addresses of their lkdsb.com email. Also, I've been using this with the Bazanquet staff. We have one staff member that doesn't have access to a device. She has a phone. And so I call her every meeting. And something that's very important about this aspect is for you to call the participant and not have them call you. So on the screen on the left there, it says BOSQ, and then there's a link to invite, but then underneath it says dial in. Do not use this. Do not have your students use this. Long distance charges will be incurred. However, if you, when you click add people and you choose to call someone, you just have to simply enter the phone number and it will ring to the person and they will just answer their phone as usual. And they are then participating in the in your meeting via audio. So the second way to start a meeting is by using the link. Like I said at the startup screen, you will see a link that you can copy and paste and send into an email. So as I mentioned before, you just need to remember that you have to access the meeting in the same link. Every time you go into Google Meet in a new tab, you're creating a new link. So you have to access the link via the means that you invite people to the meeting. So I know, for example, Kaylee with her staff, she uses the same link for every meeting that she schedules. And so that is one way that you can invite your students to your meeting.
Emily, we just have a question.
Sure.
You copy and paste that link into other platforms such as Seesaw?
I don't know about Seesaw. I do know that there is a principal and he copies and pastes it into the .NET email and people are able to access the meeting through the .NET email. So that would be something that would be, I'll maybe jot that down to have someone try.
Oh, we're getting some replies in the chat, some more experience. Yes, you can and see.
Excellent.
Thank you to Mel and Heather. Oh, and something else called Living Tree works as well. So I think it sounds like you can copy and paste that link anywhere.
Excellent. Thank you. The third way that I recommend starting a meeting, and this again would be if you have a reoccurring meeting with the same group of people, I recommend creating a Google group. And this is a one-time thing. So you go into Google Group and you create your group. It's quite a simple process. And that sends out an invitation to all the students that you want to participate. They have to accept your invitation to the group. Then, once that's established, that's a one-time thing. After that, you can then create events in Google Calendar that will invite that group to your meeting. And this is the functionality whereby you can have them, like you can plan in advance. They would have the option to say, yes, I can attend, or no, I cannot attend. But it's important to remember that they have to first accept membership into the group, and then you would create the event in Google Calendar. So this next slide is very wordy. I know it goes against all the principles of creating a slide, but I wanted you to have a record of creating events through Google Calendar. So I'm not going to read this. This is just the step-by-step process that you would create your event in Google Calendar. The nice thing about this is when you create the event, you can add the title, the guests. When you add your guests, you're just clicking on the group name that you've given your Google group. And then you need to make sure you click on conferencing in the add or location or conferencing. And then that creates the link to your meeting. And then what I do is I just go into my Google Calendar right before the meeting, and I click on the link in my Google Calendar. So your students will be able to do the same, or they can just go to the invitation that is sent to their Gmail.
Okay, Emily, we have another question.
Yes.
So Linda says her students have never used their .com emails. How do I find out what they are? Oh, I'm just going to respond to that in the chat.
Sure.
Sorry.
I did have a staff member the first time we started this. I did have a staff member sitting on the sidelines. She's actually part of this meeting right now. Hi, Mindy. She helped me troubleshoot getting people logged on for the first time. So if there's a means that you can have someone helping you with troubleshooting, it just kind of takes, you're trying to start your meeting, maybe doing an introductory activity, and maybe someone can help with the troubleshooting, or ahead of time set up a means in which you can they can communicate to you if they're having trouble logging on. I think the first time we did our virtual staff meeting, we've done 4 now. And the first time it did take about 10 minutes to get everybody logged on. But now when we start our meetings, it's pretty slick. Everybody's able to get into the meeting, and the connections have been quite strong. The person that we call into the meeting, we did lose her. And I recommend you, if you have a student that you're calling on the phone, make sure you tell them that if the call gets lost, you will call them back. So they need to let you know that they've been disconnected, and you need to call them back, because again, if they try and call that number, they will be charged long distance charges.
We just
sorry.
Emily, sorry, we just have some more questions.
Yes.
So do the students likely need a Google account to use Google Meets?
Yes. And I believe it is my understanding that every student in the LKDSB has an at lkdsb.com account. That is their Gmail address.
Right. So it would be their first name dot last name at lkdsb.com, just like the staff accounts. Brenda says her students, she's a kindergarten teacher, so limited technology or limited parent technology abilities. Can we just use parent home email addresses? So Brenda, no, we need to use the .com address. The meeting is being recorded, and it will be on the blog later today. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, if the parent has a Gmail account, they will be able to be invited to the meeting. So when I was testing this out a couple weeks ago, I tested it out with some friends that are not in the LKDSB, but they had access to Google. They could log in. They had a Gmail account. So you would be able to invite parents that way. I was talking to our kindergarten teacher, and she thought that Yeah, she was wondering if this would be a difficult thing for her to help parents navigate, trying to find the students' email access, but that might be something that would be worth setting up, before you get started.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to add, Emily, is if you can use the code that is set up, and you can cut and paste it into Seesaw or whatever communication tool you're using, then all they have to do is use the Google Meet in the little waffle on Google. And then they would just put in that code. So that negates the need for a Google email address at all, correct?
Yes. Yep. If they just need to have access to Google, and every student does. The last slide that I'm showing you right now is that this is what the invitation looks like in their .com email. And the link that the students would click on is in the red circle there. So they just have to enter the meeting. Once you have it set up through the Google Calendar, they just have to click on that link, and then your meeting, they will gain access to your meeting. Okay, Kaylee, it's all yours.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep up with the chat. So I'm gonna do that first. So Linda said, what if the students have a common name? Linda, yes, that is an issue. So you need to make sure that you're using your student. Your SysOp or your administrator can help you find their correct Google account.
Yes, and what they do in that instance is they add a middle initial, because there is another Emily Dixon in the board, and I believe her email is differentiated by a middle initial.
Perfect. So I made a reference to the waffle. Okay, so everyone has access to Google, given that it is just the internet platform, right? So you're just going to go to your Google landing page, and that's where you would find that waffle. It's the array for my math friends. It's the 3x3 array up in the top right corner next to your login. Thanks, Emily, perfect. Everyone has a .com account in the board. They might not know that they have it or have never used it before, but it is there. So Jane, you don't have to worry about that. Yes, Sherry's saying that teachers can go into self-serve and change their Google passwords. Sherry, I don't believe we have access to the self-serve options from home at the moment, but I can double check on that for you. So Michelle is sharing how we can access the online student numbers. I would still, an easier way to do that is just ask your administrator, because they have hard copies of all that information, or they should be getting it soon. Mel, when you type into Mel, I'm not sure I understand your question. She says, when you type into the setup, the student's email shows up and then you just click it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just like when you're sending an email in the .net, as soon as you start typing, it will try and guess who you're trying to gain access to. So you will be able to just click on once you see. But one thing I do want to point out, it's very important that you do select in that invitation, that you select their .com email.
Yes. Sherry's going to look for the link for self-serve. Thank you. Mel,
Yeah, Mel, just to touch on that too, Mel, that's where you have to watch in case there's two with the same, because both of them will populate, like Stephen Park versus Steve Park. When I tried to send something to a colleague teacher, you have to make sure, because both of them will come up in there if they're similar. So you have to know which one is yours.
Yes, thank you. Good tip, Donna. Yes, OENs are different than student numbers. So to be honest, I'm not sure if it's the OEN or if it's the student number, but your SysOp and your administrator, likely your SysOp, will be able to help you out with that. Okay. keep in mind that you don't need, oh, thanks, Donna, student number. Okay, it's your student number. So you will be able to get that from your administrator as well. Keep in mind that you don't need to activate their Google account if you are using something like Seesaw for your kindergarten students, because you can just put the code into Seesaw, they put that into the Google Meet. Okay. Mary says, when you try to create a group, what is the group email address you enter?
You don't, it will automatically be created for you.
And Nat, bonjour. What if the kids have forgotten their password if they changed it? So Nat, that would be a question for your sysop as well, because they can reset the password, or if we have the self-serve link, then we can reset their passwords ourselves as well. Whew, okay, that's
Okay.
questions.
Awesome. So now Kaylee will share some tips and tricks.
Okay, so when you have it all set up and you're ready to have your first Google meeting, what you want them to first do is to enable the chat. So the chat is the little speech box in the right-hand corner. And when it is enabled, it turns white with, it turns green. When it's not enabled, it's just white and it has little lines in it. So use the chat feature on at all times. Yep. The screens can appear differently. So you can have kind of the tiles off to one side and one big speaker. You can have several speakers on at the same time. I don't think I've ever seen more than 4 in the tile, and it's the person who is speaking the most that is the prominent.
Highlighted. Yeah.
Highlighted, thank you. So hopefully in your class, that's you as the teacher, because we want everybody to go to the next slide. Oh, you can change the layout. So that's just for your different screen. And to do that, you need to hover over the bottom of your screen and a white bar will appear. And there's 3 dots on the white bar, and you press that and it will give you options to alter your screen layout. To mute or to turn your video on and off, you need to hover over the screen and that same white bar will show up. And in the middle, there's the hang up button. And then off to the left, there's the microphone, and the right is the video. The microphone is really important because, again, just like Zoom, if there's a lot of feedback, that person's picture will keep showing up, or if there's a lot of background noise. Someone, I don't remember where it was, Emily, but someone was saying that there was, they were presenting near an open window and there was a bird chirping. So
Yeah.
the bird kept activating their camera, which kept appearing on everybody's video screen. Okay, to present what is on your screen, on the white button, or on the white bar, there is a presenting option, and you would just click on that, and then just like in Zoom, you can share your screen with everybody. I'm thinking this would be particularly useful if, say, you were using it for like a guided reading group or something, and then you could share the text with you. I'm just going to pause there, Emily, for a second and go back to the chat. So Teen says that Seesaw has opened more spaces. If you would rather be there than with us, you can try Seesaw again, but we're happy you're here with us. Robin is saying that there's a Google extension you can add called Grid View to view everyone in the meeting. Ooh, thanks, Robin. I'm going to try that with my next staff meeting. Thank you. And James Edgar has asked, why is the presentation not in Meet so we can see it live?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That was out of our decision-making power.
However, James, if you would like to try, I'm Emily and I would love to have a Google Meet with you, and we can play around with it there if you're interested. Yes, so Linda, sorry, I was distracted with the chat. So to share your screen, you're going to hover over the bottom and a white bar shows up. It's that same bar with the mute and the hang up and the video screen. And then there's a box with an arrow and it will say present screen. And then you click on that and your screen will come up live to the group. I'm going to extend my invitation to James to anyone. If you would like to have a Google Meet and we can play with it, please just let us know and we're happy to do that with you. Okay. So if you need help, the Google Suite's help is very user-friendly. You can rate in Google, in your meeting, type in Google Meet help, and it will all come up. And then you can just put in your issue and a million solutions will come up just like this. Donna is asking if these features can be accessed on school iPads. Donna, to be honest, I haven't used my iPad. I've only used my laptop, but I know that some of my teachers are using their iPads to access our meetings. Yes, so yes, you can use your iPads. And then Ray has a question about the concern about bandwidth or overuse of grid services if teachers are conferencing for the overall community. Ray, that question is above my pay grade, so I don't have an answer for you. Sorry.
I did have a couple questions about that in a previous presentation, and in the Google support, it will tell you exactly what the requirements are for a device using Google Meet.
Perfect. And Alicia is saying that iPads have an app for Google Hangouts that you can download to have your meetings. So be careful that you're not using Google Hangouts, but you're using Google Meet. That's a different app. My staff discovered that when I sent them the link to the wrong app. And then Megan has a question. Does a presenter have the ability to mute everyone? Yes, so you can mute everyone. However, I don't believe you can unmute them. So for example, I muted a staff member during our staff meeting and then he had to unmute himself. Okay, so yes, it could become a problem if everyone's talking at the same time. But again, that would just be the norms that you're setting up at the beginning of your meeting, that everyone has the chat feature on and everyone's microphone is muted unless they have a question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Brock McKenzie, Gregory Drive. I have a question.
Sure.
Unless this is not the question portion, but that's what it says on the screen.
No, go right ahead.
All right. You talked about the asynchronous learning. I was watching some YouTube videos by a gentleman that's using the Google Meet in the States. And so one of the ways that he's able to do that type of learning where everyone doesn't have to be on Google Meet at the same time is that he has the option to record his Google Meet sessions. And he said it is a premium feature and your school board might have it, it just might be turned off. And so that option won't show up when you click on the three dots at the bottom right hand of the screen. So will we be given that option so we can record things? So when a kid can't be online live with us for a lesson, we can at least have the recording and put it up on Google Classroom so they can at least watch the lesson at their own leisure.
I've just texted Rod to see if the board is looking into that capability. We did have that discussion as a principal group, that was one of the limitations with Google Meet. So I'll let you know if Rod replies. Other than that, we will share through communication through the principals if this becomes a capability.
Great question, thank you. The other thing that you might want to consider is using Google Meet as an additional part of your remote learning or your distance learning plan. So it's not perhaps the only thing that you're doing, but if you have a Google Classroom, you can post videos there that students can access at their, when they are able to access those videos. And then if you're having a Google Meet, like again, for a small group instruction or just as a check-in, then you don't have to worry about it being asynchronous. So just to go back to the questions, Deb asks if the meeting can be shut down when it's finished. Yes, you can log right out of that. So you just leave the meeting. Lindsay, hi Lindsay. Does the board prefer us to use Google Meet over Zoom with students? Again, the board has chosen to support the Google Suites and Seesaw because there are so many options out there. We had to pick, we had to limit what we could support. So this is what we've decided to use. You are free to choose whatever works best for your classroom and your professional opinion. Okay, Lindsay? Byron, I'm assuming the recording the Google Meet would be a great feature, and I agree, Byron. The blog, yeah, I can put the blog website in the chat. I'll try and do that right now. Okay, and Taylor is asking, we make our Google group to add all of our oh, never mind. They answered their own question. Thanks, Taylor. That makes our lives a little easier. Oh, there's the blog spot. Thanks, Emily.
Yeah, sorry, I just flipped to the last slide.
Perfect. And Deb, can I shut down the meeting so students aren't left unattended in a Google Meet? Oh.
Yeah, you would just want to make sure you're the last one out. And that is again, I mean, the students do, especially junior and intermediate students, I think are using Google Hangouts. So they do have that capability to conference. So you can try and set that norm that you will be the last one out of the meeting. And then if it becomes a problem, you'd probably have to follow up with parents.
Perfect. And Donna, yes, a link to the Google Meet can be posted in Classroom. Sharon, yes, you can't see the white bar because we are using slides. So you don't have access to Google Meets right now. But again, if you want to have a Google Meet with us, we'd be happy to walk you through that. The chat, oh, that may be a question for Rod. I'm not sure if the chat is saved as well, or if it's just the video and audio.
Yeah, the chat is usually saved, and it's kind of a convoluted mass of text, but we can do our best to make that available to the team.
Okay, perfect. So hopefully that helps. Can students use Google Hangouts without you? Diana's asking. Yes, we have had some incidents of students using Google Hangouts without staff support. So they have a google.com or Gmail address, so they can use any of the features in the Google Suites. They don't need you in the Hangouts. I would set the norm though, if you are using Meets, that it is only with you and you are the one creating the Meet. Can a few of the links in this chat, Donna? So Donna, if you would like to stay on afterwards, or if you have some specific links that you would like shared with you, we'd be happy to do that. Heather is saying that she's used other platforms, Zoom, Skype, and she finds Skype is super glitchy when there are lots of people on. And the same with Google Hangouts for personal use. Is Google Meet glitchy as well? I haven't had any problems with Google Meet being glitchy. Sometimes my own internet is a little glitchy, so I appear pixelated on the screen. But other than that, I haven't had any complaints. Emily, have you had any issues?
No, none. And I do have a couple staff members that are not super comfortable in Google, and I asked for some feedback, and everybody felt like they were very, very comfortable in it. Like I said, we didn't have anybody get kicked out of the meeting. I froze once, so I had to go to a better spot in my house. So the Wi-Fi capabilities, you know, that might be an issue that needs to be troubleshot.
Yeah. So Sharon is asking, why did the link you gave us in the March 27th email not work for us in Zoom? So Sharon, I'm assuming that perhaps that's the email with all the sessions that you got with all those links. And I don't know why it didn't work for you, because I use that link to get into our meeting. But if you could give us some more details about your question, perhaps I can help you with that. Okay. And then we just got some thank yous, Emily. So I think that brings us to the end of our session.
Awesome. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We're more than happy to support you however we can. If that means finding, we will do so.
Wonderful. So we are going to say bye then. If you would like to have a Google Meet with us as a trial run before you try this with your students, please just give us an email, and we'd be happy to do that with you. Okay.
And we can hang out here for a bit if you have further questions or concerns.
Okay. Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.